So in this video, you will learn how to make a custom input field for YouTube videos that just takes the URL and render a preview of the movie in the editor for portable text. Let's first think about what a YouTube embed actually is. If we go to YouTube and hit the share button and embed, we can see this iframe code, and it is tempting to just take this and save this as HTML in the Sanity studio, but let's not do that. Let's try and save this as structured data. And the core part of this embed code is the URL. As you can see, youtube.com/embed and an ID. And this ID is the same as that we have here in the URL bar, or the sharing URL, which is kind of a short version of this. So what we want to do is to save just a URL in the document and deal with the actual preview and like the embed in the front end. So let's go to the code and add a YouTube input field. And as we did with figure, we will make a new file and we will call it YouTube. And export default. We will name it YouTube. This will be object. YouTube embed. And we need some fields. And in this tutorial, I will just have the URL. Sanity actually comes with a URL type that has some validation and stuff. And that's it. Now we have to import this, and I will just copy paste and use the multiple cursor feature in VS Code. It's pretty nice. And I will add this to the types array. And now we should be able to insert. No, we forgot to add it to the rich text. So we have to do type YouTube, and this, you can write type YouTube here because you have made this object and you have imported it into the global types here. So that's why we can reuse the type in rich text or wherever you want to have it. So now we should be able to insert YouTube embed, and we just need the URL. So let's take this and paste it in. Now you can see that we have the URL here, but it would be kind of nice to have a preview of the YouTube movie that we embedded. In Sanity Studio, you can make your own preview components using React. So let's go through how to do that. So in a bigger project, you probably would want to make the preview component in its own file, just to keep it tidy. But now I will just make it in the same file as where we define the type. So we begin by importing React so that we can parse the JSX syntax. And there's no state in this preview component. It's just we just passed the URL string in as a prop. So we can make this a function. YouTube preview. It has some props. So first we want to see what props we have. And you could just console log it out like this and return empty div. But another trick is to actually use the pre-tags and JSON stringify and props. And to have some nice indent, you can pass null and 2. So this is a 2-spaced indent. And now we have to tell the studio that it should use this preview component. So we add the property preview, and we have to select some data for it. So let's select the URL field. So I will just name it URL and then select URL field. So if I had a title field here, I could write title here to select that data. And then we add component and YouTube preview like this. So if I go back now, we have like the raw data printed out. You can see we have value and the data that we just pasted in, and some other stuff that we don't need now. So what we can do here is to destruct the parameter and just select value like this, and have a bit less data going in. So now we want to replace this with the actual embed code. So let's go back to YouTube and get this iframe code here and just paste it in. Let's remove this full screen thing and see what happens. Yeah, so now we have an embed here. Of course, this is hard coded, but and you can see that the URL here is a bit different from what we have in the URL bar. If I do like this, it's perhaps a bit hard to see, but here we have watch something something and an ID and something something, and yeah. So what we want here is to get the ID and put it into this string. Now we have this URL to a YouTube video, but we also have this short URL, and we want Sanity to be able to use any of these. So what we can do is to get an embed package called get YouTube ID. So we'll just copy the name, and I'll just quit the studio and use yarn add get YouTube idea. And we can do Sanity start again. Then we can do like, yeah, we can use this. Import get YouTube ID. Now we should be able to extract the ID from the URL. So let's just copy this value URL, and well, let's just take this and generate the URL here. Like this. And if we don't have a URL, we shouldn't return this iframe. So if no ID, return div missing YouTube URL, like this. Now my linter complains about this iframe not having a unique title property. So that's nice to have for accessibility. So let's just add that. Like this. And let's see if this works. Yeah, so let's refresh this. Actually, since I stopped the thing, it seems like it works. Here we have the embed. We can go to another YouTube movie. Try and paste this in. Yeah, and it changes. Nice. We can even try and do it with the other URL here, just to see if it works. It still works. Great. So now you have a nice YouTube preview in your rich text editor. Of course, you have to do kind of the same thing in the front end as well. So this is a good example of structured content. We have no HTML in the backend. We just have this URL, and we can decide how to use it in the front end. So perhaps maybe you don't always want a iframe embed. Perhaps you sometimes want some other things. That's how you make a YouTube preview in the editor for portable text. And you can use this approach for pretty much any object type you want.